What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Stranded Phase podcast. We are now on video, on YouTube, and streaming, of course, on all your favorite podcasting platforms. So I'm so excited today to bring you someone that's been a former guest on my podcast, but I had to bring her back because we're going to dive really, really deep today. And so I am so excited to bring someone who just was such a big part of my transformation over the last 9 months, and really the person I credit to helping me regulate my emotions, heal some childhood trauma, and just really get clear on something that your girl still struggles with, which is boundaries. So I'm excited to welcome Ludmila Woodruff to the Stranded Phase. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Girl, anytime. You're going to stress me out either way. So I figured I'd bring it to the show. So speaking of stressing me out, let's dive right in because...
There we go. It's not me though, just a footnote. I'm not stressing her out.
Listen, because what's stressing me out is having to deal with all of the things that over the last 32 years I've chosen not to deal with. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever met Ludmila, because there's been a lot of people that I've referred to you, which they always say the same thing. Why did you not send her to me sooner? I needed this woman in my life a long time ago. But what stresses me out about you is the work that you make me do. And so to start, this is what I want to talk about. And this sounds so simple, yet it is one of the hardest things that I've had to learn to do because we all think we do it, but we don't efficiently do it.
No, not many.
And it's that one of the most important parts of the healing process is that you have to, in order for you to heal, you have to feel. You have to feel. And when I say feel, I mean, when you're hurting, that minute where it hurts so bad, you want to run, you want to drink, you want to suppress, you want to go hang out with friends. It feels like you're unproductive. It feels like this is the worst feeling that you could ever have. That is the time where you have to stand in that painful emotion and allow it to be present. Why is this so hard for us?
Well, let's go back to our session we had one time.
Yes.
And when we feel an intense emotion, especially if we haven't learned coping mechanism or coping skills, correct? If for our entire life we knew how to numb, meaning with food, alcohol, or just adaptive behaviors like people pleasing, correct? So we take people pleasing, and instead of feeling rejected, we attune to somebody else's needs. Mm-hmm. We attune so much to somebody else's needs, we don't even know what our needs are.
Yep.
So in that way, we repress, let's say, what our emotions, what we want. We do get triggered though, because sometimes when we give and give and give and don't receive what we really need, at some point we had enough, correct? And then the big explosion comes in and the other person is the bad guy.
Yes.
And we've had it, correct?
Yes.
But what we haven't done really is to feel what needed to be felt. Mm-hmm. And so when we finally come into some situation in our life, a breakup, or somebody gets ill, or we decide to change jobs, whatever that is for you, something that's really shakes you to the core, we realize, oh, wow, I'm here. I thought I was really coping and I was feeling everything, but I really wasn't. So this is what happens when we were in the session, you remember, and you repress so much anger for so long, and anger is a secondary emotion of sadness and frustration and hopelessness and loneliness. And the anger comes in, and it's very powerful emotion. You don't know how to deal with anger. What do you do with anger? Do you go and punch people? Do you go and fight with them verbally? Do you dump emotionally on people that pissed you off? What do you really do? So when we sat with that anger, at some point, the anger becomes really powerful in your body.
Very.
Very powerful. And it's very connected to the sadness and disappointment and hurt. And I remember you saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
I said, I don't want to go back there. Please don't make me go back there. I remember saying it to you and I felt like a child. I felt like a 5-year-old. I felt like, please don't make me go in the dark room. Please don't make me go in the place that I'm the most scared of. Because when we sat in this emotion and I processed it, when I actually, like, truth be told, guys, that whole exercise made me realize how often we think we're healed just because we did the work. One, were we really present? 2, did we actually take the time to process it? And 3, we move at such a fast pace in our life that it's like we're trying to get over things and move on and keep going and back into hustle mode and back into productivity, because when you are healing, it will slow you down. And so there was so much, I guess, I'm not going to sit here and say I felt like I was fully healed, but I was definitely at a point in my journey where I felt like I could not easily get triggered. But you and I went through this exercise, and all the anger that I guess I had not processed came up, and I sat in it for a long period of time. And when you said, okay, and I've done this with other healers, you know, hypnotists, everyone, a lot of times it's reprogramming and you have to go through the emotion again to see what's left there. I went through it once with you and you were like, okay, we're going to do it again. My body went into shock. I was like, please don't make me go back there, because it hurt so bad. And I think most people won't ever challenge themselves to do true healing or to go back there, because it feels like you're almost centering too much attention on past pain, that you're like choosing to relive it, which a lot of people will say, like, move on, let it go.
Move on.
And it's like, but I know, and it even lasted for a week after that. Like, I promise, I called my girl and I said, like, 3 days later, I was like, I don't know what the hell Ludmila did to me, but I've been pissed all week. Like, this hurts. This has got me so angry. And you were like, you just kept saying, you have to release these feelings. You have to allow these feelings. And I'm gonna tell you, like, it sounds cute now.
That was uncomfortable.
But I was like, screw this shit. Like, I can't even focus. But about a week and a half later, it started to lift. And it's like, to think that that means I had that much anger in my body from something that happened almost a year ago. I had no idea.
Of course, because you repressed, because you go into the mode of work, hanging out with friends, calling on your girlfriends, and it's all great and supportive. But when we distract too much with other people to help us and hold us, of course it's necessary. We need to have people that feel safe for us. We can co-regulate with others. That's very healthy. But if that's your only way of coping, it can become a problem, because then you still didn't process, because you constantly rely on somebody else. So let's say you've ended a relationship and you were in a people-pleasing phase in that relationship. So you made sure the other person is happy. You made sure the other person's needs are met. Then let's say you end the relationship and now you are healing. And I'm all for call your girlfriends, call your healers or professionals that help you heal and transform through this process. And at the same time, if you don't have any time on your own, and I don't say you have to sit home in a dark room and cry all day, you can as well go for a walk, but by yourself with no distractions, no voice, no sound, just walk and listen to the birds and move your body. Then again, you make yourself relying on other people all the time. Again, we are not processing.
I remember when you told me at the end of one session, this was like 4 months ago, you said, I am not trying to be offensive and I'm not trying to say that I'm the only person that you need to work with. And you said, but I think you're at a point right now where you need to stop listening to other people, stop reaching out to other people, and you need to just process and listen to yourself. And that felt so unsafe to me, because I was just running to people to tell me that it was going to be okay, to tell me what was next, to forecast for me, to tell me that if I just did this, this would equal this. Like, I needed a solution-based outcome to know, or to like have hope. And you were like, no, friend, you just need to sit in it. And that, like, learning, I just want to emphasize, like, learning how to do that, knowing that, like, my walks every morning are a part of that, to know that I have everything within me most of the time.
You do.
To get there.
You do.
And this brings up first of all, let me be clear. I didn't even know what the hell this meant until I met you. Can you like talk a little bit about the skills that, like the skills of self-regulation? What is it? Co-self-regulation?
So self-regulation and co-regulation. So
Yes.
as we said, let me be clear. when meditation in silence is great for some people, for some people, it can trigger them. So you really need to experiment with yourself. You have so many options. You have walking meditation with other people in a group where you're still with yourself, but not on your own, and you are moving your body. You have sleeping meditations. You have different types of yoga that engage both your emotions and your body. We need to be careful because when our nervous system is in stress mode, and then all we do is heavy weights workouts, it can bring more stress. So you
It's
have
like having
to really,
anxiety and drinking coffee.
Exactly. You have to explore what works for you. Your kind of trauma or childhood was different than mine, correct? So we might have the same challenges, but it feels very different for my body and my nervous system than it feels for yours.
Yes.
So we need a different type of tools in our toolkits. So some people can meditate for 2 hours. I will never do it. I can have a walking meditation. I advise Kundalini for many people to try out. So as I say, when we work together, you need to be very careful with your clients when you don't just force some kind of modalities on them, because for some people it can be very dysregulating. Sitting in silence just by themselves for half an hour can really trigger them into a shutdown or one of the survival modes. So when we as children are growing up, we are really dependent on our caregivers. Correct. So when you are a baby and you are crying in your crib, your nervous system hopes somebody will come and pick you up and hold you to make you feel safe. And that's how you attach to another human being. That's where the attachments come from. I know when I'm crying, maybe I'm hungry, maybe I feel alone, I need somebody to comfort me.
Yeah.
Well, in a perfect world scenario, we all would have parents that will pick us up and tend to our needs. But as we know, doesn't always happen. Correct. And depends on the age of a child. You can be 4 years old and crying, and your parents can say, stop crying, you are whining, you are too emotional, fix yourself, this is weak, boys don't cry. For girls, I've heard many times, be like your sister, be like the neighbor, can't you be the good girl, just listen and do what we tell you, correct? So trauma, when we talk about co-regulation, self-regulation, trauma is not always being physically threatened. I want to make that clear because there are different definitions of trauma, and trauma is really the result of what happens inside of you as the effect what happens to you. So when somebody yells at you all the time, for example, that is not a communication strategy, let's be clear. Correct? You might scare your children. Correct. You might, they will comply at some, depends on a child. My child would not, because I did try. Did not work. Depends on a child, as I say, also different personalities. So you start yelling, it works short term, let's say. And depending on a child and their nervous system, you might have somebody who will fight you, or you might have a child that will say, wow, I need to stop doing what I'm doing, being who I'm being, because otherwise my mom will yell. And your nervous system goes into one of the modes. So one is fight. Flight is when you keep yourself occupied with everything else. Or you go into fawn. Fawn is people pleasing. So that's survival mode too. Coping mechanism. So then you look at your mom, she yelled at me because I didn't clean my room. Let's say. So now I'm really scared of my mom. My nervous system knows if my room is not cleaned, it can get really bad. Then I will clean it. So you get the end result of your child cleaning the room, but you don't understand what's happening on the inside of the child. Meaning I'm stressed out if that's not done. So I will do it. So now I have, anxiety. Correct? So when we talk about self-regulation, you need to be able to co-regulate, right? So your parents are supposed to teach you, this is how we co-regulate. When you have a lot of emotions, I can hold space for you. I am, as an adult, not triggered. So when you yell and you cry, me as an adult, I need to be able to hold myself and hold space, like I did in our session. You are going and I just hold the space. I don't go with you on that emotional trip. Imagine that.
We absolutely go with our children, though.
Imagine that. Yes. So if we do that, then who is in control? Who is holding the space of safety? Who the child looks at you and their nervous system co-regulates with yours or dysregulates. So
Absolutely.
you can co-regulate with your child or dysregulate them. The same for your partner, correct? You have one nervous system to another nervous system. This is what we do. You say something, you trigger something in me, correct? It's nervous system to nervous system.
Yes.
So you can co-regulate with your child, you can dysregulate. So now we have a choice. So if you hadn't had a parent who could co-regulate with you, that's where the challenge comes from, self-regulation, because you weren't taught the skill of, when I'm sad, I can cry and I am safe. When I'm disappointed, I can yell that I'm angry and I am still safe. The world is not ending. I'm not a bad person. This is a human experience. All the emotions are allowed, the positive and the negative.
Yep.
If the parent can do that for you, hold the space for you without judging and shame or fixing you, then you know how to self-regulate and co-regulate. But not many people have experienced that. So
I was going to say, so
there
most
we are
of
here.
us at this age are learning that we don't have these skills. So what I've learned over time with you is that it's very important, like you said. So to me, simply put, I always think self-regulation is learning to exert control over my emotions and my reactions. And dysregulation is when basically there's no logic involved. You are completely running off of emotions. And I'm sorry, but like in the comments, please agree and understand this, because so many women have done this. There's been so many times that we are dysregulating, or, because that's when we are completely controlled by emotions, flipping out, people pleasing, looking for validation, looking for the person that broke us to fix us, begging for someone to tell us that this is, in the worst sense. Like that's like when a child's coming to you yelling and you're not going to reason with them. That's how we are when we're dysregulated. We're like children yelling, screaming for someone to tell us that we're safe. And so what I've learned with me is, like you said, you have to kind of figure out what's best works for you. It is not that I have stopped, I'm going to use the phrase flipping out, but like where I felt like my emotions were getting the best of me as I'm processing a lot of things and healing, but it's instead of, and I just don't think people realize how much they do it, picking up the phone and sending that text message, going to go look for closure for something, going to go call a friend and flip out. And I might do this, I might do that, or eat or drink, but to say, okay, what are the things that I can literally change my emotion in a short period of time, or process this emotion in a short period of time? And for me, it's walking and breath work. So I take control of that by every morning going for a walk. But if I feel like I'm in a place of like that, I'm hungry for someone to fix it. I can just feel the feeling again where I'm running and I'm like, I want to call someone and yell. I want this, I want that. Like, I'm like, it's like a panic, a war going on inside my head. Breath work can absolutely slow me down. It can slow me down. And sometimes it's funny with breath work, and I'm not a breath work expert, but for me, there's been several times where I've had to force myself to do it. And about 5 minutes in, my mind wants to run from it so bad. My mind's like, this feels forced. Get out of here. This feels unsafe.
Doesn't feel safe.
It does not feel safe, because now it's almost like you like lift all the emotions. Like it's almost like, to me, you're getting them out. So it's like you're feeling them process through your body and out. And those are the two ways that I've learned to self-regulate, but I've realized you're absolutely correct. It's very different for every person, but when you can learn how to have that type of control, and that's not letting someone walk all over you. I remember when you first taught me this, I was like, so people are going to beat up on me and then I'm going to go take radical responsibility for it. Like, what the fuck? No, it's that when you're processing something, when you're healing, when someone hurts you, there doesn't have to be that reaction. You can self-regulate. You can exert control over your emotions and process it logically and emotionally.
Yes. So for some people, dance is amazing. They start dancing. When you feel the intense emotion that you feel, the breath work maybe is not the tool for that exact situation, you can dance. So I do that sometimes with my kids too. We dance to very upbeat music to let it out and jump. We almost like shake our whole body, or we do slow, depending on the mood, what you need to release. Kundalini Yoga has been amazing for me. So I always say to my clients, you can try it out, because it really connects your body to your emotional self, and you can process a lot. I remember when I did it first time, I used to do a lot of weight training. And I felt there was something stuck in my body and I could not release it. And I would just work out more and work out more. And I see it so often. People are trying to outrun their anxiety. Like you see the runners and they run and they run and they run and they still feel anxious. And I thought to myself, there must be something else. And I found Kundalini Yoga. And the first class I went to, I just cried through the half of the class because it helped the way they use the breath plus movement. It's not really to build your physical strength and have lean muscles. It's really to release the stuck emotion and rebalance you from inside out. I loved it, but it's not for everybody, as I say. So you really have to find your thing and try things out and be courageous. And this is what I say. When we take responsibility, yes, we take responsibility for how we react, and nobody's perfect. Let's be honest. Nobody's perfect. Nobody does it 100% right. Correct? Let's step away from the perfectionist.
How many times have I called you and said, what do I do?
I know, but it's great to have people that feel safe to you. So you see, like with me, and we will touch on this later about the attachment styles. It's good to know who feels safe to you and do reach out to them, correct? Like you can be you with me.
Yes.
And you have other people where you don't have to pretend to be somebody else. You don't have to people please. You don't have to watch what you say, how you move, because you know you are accepted for who you are, correct? Those are like the best relationships that you want, but it also requires vulnerability on your part, meaning I see my strengths, I see my weaknesses, I see my humanness, I see it.
Yes.
And now I will show it to somebody else. Correct? So you kind of expose yourself to another person.
Expose me, baby.
expose yourself. And then you hope that this person will not use that information against you, will not trigger you on purpose. Correct? Because we know our partner's triggers, our friend's triggers. You can trigger somebody pretty fast if you know them well. Absolutely. So you need to not to be careful. This is what I say. Love is courageous. Love in relationships for yourself and your relationships and friendships is courageous because you take the brave action of opening yourself up to something that feels amazing but can also feel very painful.
You assign someone the ability to bring you happiness. You assign them the ability to bring you pain. Period.
Yeah, period. But so co-regulation is really learning how to, for example, use another person, not use them, but have other people that feel safe to you and call them when you need or hold hands or hug each other. That's amazing too, correct?
Yes.
Pets are amazing for co-regulation, hugging a dog or a horse, whatever.
People hugging me was a game changer. I used to just realize I loved it. And then I would just hug people for a very long time.
I know.
I hug you all the time.
I know. It's like, let's hug for 2 minutes to bring your nervous system to this safe place. So I'm all for co-regulation. And I also say, please learn how to self-regulate because people or animals are not always available to you, correct? You can also use, for example, resources of your senses. When you start feeling overwhelmed, you can say 5 red things I can see in this room, 3 things I can touch, or 4 things I can smell.
Because you need to get out of the panic.
You need to get out of the survival mode. So fight, flight, phone, or the freeze when you're in a shutdown. So when you are in those, your logic will not work. You have to use your body. Your logic is not working when you are in fight. You know what you are in fight? You think your survival is online right now? So
I just imagined a girl ready to fight and you're like, you're going to go to jail. And they're like, I don't care.
I don't care. They don't care. They don't care because their nervous system, their body is prepared.
Yes.
It's immobilized. The energy is already engaged. Correct? So in the fight, flight, and fawn, you engage your energy. Your body is with you, protecting you. As crazy as that sounds when you are,
There's no going back at that point.
No, so exactly with logic, no. With your prefrontal cortex, it's offline right now. So you need to...
offline.
Offline, I say... Switch off.
It's gone.
So now you have to use some other modalities or some other resources, correct?
Yes.
So when we say breath, perfect. If you just take a breath, inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 8, you do it 5 times, immediately you can see a change in your body normally. Or start shaking your body, movement. Or what do I say, singing or dancing or naming a few things in the room that you can see or touch. If you have another person next to you that feels safe, of course you can hug them or call them. I had a client this week reach out, and I'm so proud of my clients, of all of you, because it's really scary.
Oh my
Let's
God.
be honest. It's like everybody wants to feel better. Everybody wants better relationship. But when it comes to work, people get really scared. And I understand that. It's
Can
not
we
comfortable.
be clear? Like, can we just be clear on this, that healing, this is like the ugliest shit you'll ever do. Like, it's so ugly. Most
it's
people,
beautiful.
it's so beautiful in the latter part, but the beginning is facing who you are, looking in the mirror, understanding what you've attracted, like understanding where you've fallen short, taking radical responsibility, and just processing emotions that have been left dormant. And all you did, like, I'm not an expert, but I always explain it like this. Something happens to you, you deal with it for a short frame of time, then you put it to rest. And then all we do is surround ourselves with people that don't trigger those things.
Yes, or agree with you. Like,
Yes.
your partner was horrible, your friend is a disaster.
Yes.
Like, you find these
You
people
are
and
so much better without that.
Exactly. But it's not really helping you to process the pain or find ways to co-regulate, because now you are in a pity party. Poor you. You are such a victim. And this is what I really don't like, because when you are in a victim mode, you can't help yourself. So what do? Then you repeat the same relationship, or you attract the same people, or you attract the same kind of friends. Right? We do those. And I used to do that. I used to attract the guys I was dating. They were not bad, but they were not ready to commit. And I had no idea I was looking for my dad, because he died when I was 3. So I'm looking for this mature male role model. And I'm dating guys. I'm 21. They're 21, 22. Nobody wants to get married, And I'm just looking for somebody to tell me, I want you, you are valuable, you are safe, and I will take care of you. So what am I looking for, really? For a dad,
Your
correct?
father.
Exactly. Because we need to understand, yes, we all want relationships, and relationships do define the quality of our lives. But what about the relationship with us, with ourselves? So I think we were all lied to when we look at the movies, when we look at Hollywood, when we look at everything around us, right? It's like, find the other person to complete you. Nobody completes me. I complete myself. I complete myself. I'm not broken. Even with all the trauma, I'm not broken.
Right.
It's just coping mechanisms, survival mechanisms, right? So we need to understand, in the movies, find your better half, or I don't know how they even say that. It's so toxic, so toxic. I'm like, I don't need a half. I'm whole. My husband is a separate person. I'm my own person. I can manage on my own. He can manage on his own. We enjoy our life, and then we find each other, and it's fun.
Yes.
Like, wow, I love to be with you. I am not with you, so you can make me feel better about myself.
I also love being with myself.
I love you because it's just fun, and I love our conversations. I love how we connect. I love all about our relationship. But, and he would say that too, when we thought, if something happens to one of us, it would be very hard, but we know we would survive this, and we would not be depressed for the rest of our life, because we are also separate people. When you are really codependent on your partner, it becomes a problem, because then whatever they do, whatever mood they are in, now they influence your mood. So if your husband or your partner is in a crappy mood, as a people pleaser, what did we do? What do we do as a people pleaser? I see my partner is in a bad mood, and
Try to make them happy.
Yes.
We literally expend all of our energy trying to change them, make them feel better. Take this a step further, we feel responsible.
Oh, yes.
I felt responsible, always.
And then what happens? So imagine you are doing all the things, right? Like, I used to do it too. Oh, let me cook for you. Let me do this for you. And then let's say they're still in a bad mood. Then what?
I feel like I'm not enough.
There we go. But who can fix his mood?
Only the person.
The person,
yeah.
Correct? But we are so confused because of the people pleasing. When we had parents that would be unhappy with us, then, as smart as we are in our bodies, in our nervous system, we thought we need to adapt so they don't lose it on us. They don't yell, they're not disappointed, they don't give us the look like, oh, you just got the B, you need to get an A. That was so disappointing. Right? So we learn, okay, I need to adapt. I need to do everything for this person to be happy. Because, I love them. They're like the most important person in my life. I don't want to be walking on eggshells in this household. I don't want to have unpredictable situations.
Yep.
So let me control this. I will control how I act. I will adapt myself. And so then we go into adult relationships as those children that are 5, 7, or 8. And then when we lose it from that place of a 9-year-old trying to communicate in a way that a 9-year-old would do. We are like grown-up children walking around trying to have adult relationships.
Listen to, somebody's listening to this, and I really want you to consider this. 3 years ago, I remember my best friend saying to me, I just felt like something was off. And she said, you really need to do some childhood work. And I was like, what does that mean? Color? And she was like, no, you could start small. I'll just buy you some like cards to ask the questions. And I was like, yeah, like I've pretty much done all of that therapy. Like I'm pretty good. Like I've been to therapy. And she was like, no, just start. You'll understand it one day. And I was like, okay. And never took it seriously until about a year and a half ago. And now listening to you, and as much as I know and the things that I've had to process, I think, oh my God, that was take this stuff seriously. That was the beginning of everything I needed to focus on to unlock some unhealed patterns, the people that I was attracting, the relationships that I was attracting. Like there were so many reasons why my life kept curating the same cycle. And it was because of my unhealed patterns.
Correct. Let's be honest. Look at her. She's owning it.
Yes.
I love this because when you leave a relationship or a friendship, or you decide not to be in contact with one of your parents, let's say, I want you to understand what's your part in it and how you are making this decision. Correct?
Yes.
Because when we leave relationships, we are so much in pain. We just blame and just keep blaming. But how do you get yourself out of it and learn what you needed to learn? Correct? And every one of my clients asks, every one of my clients asks, why? But why? Remember, you would ask me, why? And I was like, Jessica, what did you have to really learn about relationships? What did you have to learn, right? If you wouldn't have this relationship and it didn't go the way it went, it's not because he was a bad person. He's not. He's just him. What lesson was repeated to you over and over and you were not ready to open your eyes to? What was the lesson?
Me. The lesson was me. It was the people pleasing. It was the lack of boundaries. It was the not loving myself enough I make the joke all the time, but like, did I really even love me like that to allow some of the things that I allowed? I know what I deserve, but I don't practice it.
Well, you knew it logically.
Yes.
Correct? That's the difference.
Yes.
So let's say...
But I wanted to be loved. I was trying to replace my father. I was looking for my father.
There we go.
It's exactly there's a, what do you call this? A childhood...
Attachment.
Childhood abandonment wound.
Abandonment wound.
I have an abandonment wound. And I've been trying to replace my father figure my entire life throughout my relationships. And I'm attracting, and we'll get into attachment styles, my anxious attachment style. I'm naturally attracted to men that are emotionally unavailable. Like
avoidant.
In the comments, you've dated someone that was emotionally unavailable, completely emotionally unavailable.
I did.
And then we had the nerve and the audacity, raise his hand, right? The nerve and the audacity to think like, well, I'm different. I could change this person.
Oh, please don't. Don't even try
when the red flags were there.
Red flag. But it also feels like home because we know how to be with avoidant.
We think it's so aligned. This feels like home. This feels like home. This feels like home. Yeah.
This feels like home. This is what I say. When we look back and I say, tell me how this reminds you of your childhood or of one of your parents or both of the situations, and people can find it. So for example, and I also want to make one comment here that we are very aware, trauma and traumatic childhood experiences don't discriminate. It's not only for poor people or not uneducated people. It happens everywhere. For people that are accomplished in their life, that we see on TV, that we want to be like them, they've been through it or they are even living this.
Yes.
So I want to make it clear. It's not for poor uneducated people.
No.
Okay. So when we go from there, imagine you have a father who is accomplished, highly educated, let's say, right? And he provides financially for you and your mom and your siblings. But he's emotionally very unavailable. He works all the time. He goes out, parties, whatever that will look like for different person. He's not very respectful towards your mother, right? You start people pleasing because daddy, I will be the daddy's girl. I will please my dad. I will have good grades. He appreciates the good girl, good grades. So we keep going, but there's no emotional bond. There is the financial support. There's no emotional bond.
Yeah, my father and I had just be clear, my father and I had no emotional engagement.
So there you go. So that feels like home. You know how to do that.
Yes.
You know how to operate in this relationship.
My father, my entire life, never knew my cell phone number.
Okay.
But lived with my mother, but never knew my cell phone number. They lived in the same house. My mother would pick up the phone when I called. He would in the background say, how's she doing? Would never take the phone, would never pick up the phone and call me. And she'd be like, oh, your dad asked about you. And I'm like, he's 7 feet away. He can't take the phone.
But he doesn't know how to do that.
He does not know how to do that.
So
yes.
Lots of grace for people that are unhealed. It's just lots of compassion as for ourselves. But then,
that creates that abandonment.
Yes. So now imagine you go and find somebody highly educated, provides, like, oh, wow, he's not partying, he's not doing anything, he's, available, let's say. And then you go live with this person and you find out, wow, okay, some things are better than my dad, but the avoidance is still there in a different mask, correct? So he's not betraying me, but it feels like home. And also when you go back into that situation, you think, maybe I can fix it.
Yeah.
So it's like double.
I can fix it because you're trying, because you're looking for your worst nightmare, AKA your father, so that you can go and repeat, but fix it.
Repair,
create
also,
it.
you think? Yes.
Yes, recreate it.
If I can feel better in this relationship and I can change this person, then I know I'm worthy.
Yes, because
My father was wrong. My father was wrong. I am worthy. I deserve the love.
Yes. Oh,
check.
My
it
God.
Never works. Let me tell you. And especially when you have anxious attachment. So the anxious attachment style is the person that wants to connect.
Yes.
Right? So you go out there, you call people. I was that. I was always available in my 20s. You call me, I'm there. I'm the fixer.
I'm anxious, right?
I think so, but let me tell you, I think you can be different.
Yes.
Depending on a person and environment. So with me, you are not anxious, correct? With me, you are secure.
Yes.
Exactly. So when people say, oh, it's a fixed thing, I would question it, because when you feel safe with me, you are with your secure attachment. You share, you expose, you show me all of you. But when with avoidant people, you will be the pursuer. The avoidant person is running away and you are chasing them. You know, the picture, one person is running away, you are chasing them. Yes, avoidant is going away and you, the anxious one, is pursuing them. That's how it looks like.
So go over these attachment styles really quick.
So the secure one is when you had your needs met as a child and you were accepted as your authentic self. Meaning, for example, let's take example of my son. Very strong personality. My way or the highway, he's changing, but he's very strong personality. He knows what he wants. Now, if I would try to confirm him to my expectation of who he needs to be, I would not allow him to be him.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we are not doing it. So he's able to express himself authentically. This is who I am. I am loud. I'm opinionated, right? But he's super fun and he's his own person and he's independent. It's amazing. So we are not dimming it. We are just trying to steer it in a good direction, right? So you can be a leader of a country or a leader of a gang in prison. So let's see which way we can go, correct? So if you can express yourself.
In the comments, tell me if you got a kid like this, because I know I got one too. My son thinks he runs the world.
Oh my goodness. So you need to know how to manage yourself to parent a child like this, but you allow them, to express themselves, to have to choose their own sports and their own interests, instead of me telling you, this is what you need to do if you want to be a doctor. Right. You need to do golf. You need to do, all of the things. So secure attachment is just being safe, feeling safe, being able to feel safe, to state my opinions. Even if I know maybe you disagree with me, I will still say what I think, not in an obnoxious way, in a respectful way. So let's be clear. Because when you yell at people, that's my opinion.
So pause. Wait. So are there a lot of people that fake a secure attachment style? Because this makes me think of people that are so abrasive and aggressive and it's like secure. A fake confidence.
That's fake, but that's the aggressive. That's the aggressive that's not attachment. That's when you are in an aggressive, very loud. I used to be that. I used to be so loud in my 20s. I will say people thought I must be obnoxious, but that was my way to assert myself. Correct. So I grew up with not a lot of money, and then I ended up from Eastern Europe to Western Europe. The wealth difference was such a big shock for me, culture shock. I was not used to be around people with so much money. So I felt less than, unconsciously, of course, because I'm 21. And so one way to make myself feel bigger and more confident was what? I will be the loudest person you will meet. I will tell you what I think. Even if you don't ask me, I will tell you. I will tell you because I know I'm right. I will tell you. Okay, that's not secure.
Right.
That's not. You feel very threatened.
Yes.
So your nervous system goes into the fight, right? The fight. Yep. So no, that's not secure. Secure is somebody who can be very calm and express themselves. This is what I think. Those are my values. It's okay if you don't agree. I will not attack you. I will not disagree. I will hold space for your opinions because I know we are separate.
Yep.
So you can
We're two different human beings.
Exactly.
Right.
We are not. That's why the boundaries are so important, because boundary is really showing you where do I end, where do you start.
So is the goal to get there? Like if someone was to, there's a test online, or they were to work with you and they were to find out they have an anxious attachment style, or they have a anxious avoidant attachment style.
Well, yes, we want to work towards the secure.
Got it.
So not always 100% perfect, right? But I want you to start noticing, for example, I had a client, she would yell at her family. She would just lose it because she felt unheard. So we want to be heard, seen, validated, and belong. And a lot of us in our childhood are missing some of it. Correct?
Yes. Yep.
So then we find our coping mechanism. You found people pleasing. Some people become really aggressive, going to fight. I'm going to fight you. So when I'm not
Raise your
hurt,
hand, please, in the comments if you are a recovering people pleaser. I'm still recovering, like all the AA classes, all the things, like recovering people pleaser. And it is the highest form of self-betrayal. It is the highest form of self-betrayal. When you learn how much you jump when people say jump and run when people say run.
And you don't even want to jump.
No.
Let's be honest. You don't want the jumping and the running. You just want to be at peace.
You will become so clear with yourself, which leads us to boundaries, which we'll get into at the end. But yeah, go back over.
The
we're
attachment.
secure.
So you have secure, then you have the anxious attachment. So the anxious attachment with adults is people pleasing.
Yep.
When you are so attuned to somebody else's needs and their moods, with your children, with your spouse, with your friends, you want to be liked.
Yes.
You want the connection. You crave it.
Yes.
You really want it. So you will jump over hoops.
For their approval.
For their approval. Because you think, if I am this kind of a person, makes them happy, fixes their mood, does everything they want from me,
worthy.
they will like me, I am worthy.
I am worthy.
They will validate me. Correct?
Yep.
But very often they don't in the way we are waiting for. So then the disappointment on the other side. Then we have the avoidant attachment style. Avoidant is shut down almost. So somewhere in your life you experience that with being open and vulnerable and connecting, it's painful. You were or rejected or not listened to. It was painful. So you were maybe trying to connect to one of your parents. Let's say if you had a parent that was emotionally unavailable, there's no chance you can connect to a person like that.
No.
Correct? So if you go to your parent and say, this bike broke and it was really important to me, and your parent says, stop whining. Stop, get over it.
Avoidant is also like we typically learn how to not be vulnerable at all, right?
Avoidant? Oh
Yes.
yeah, you just shut down.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm independent. I don't need anybody.
And you wear it it's like a vest
Protection.
of armor.
So
I work hard. I'm this,
Yeah.
I'm that. I do not share myself
A lot
vulnerably.
of perfectionists, a lot of high achievers are avoidant.
Which is primarily who you work with, correct? Not anxious, but just high achievers.
Yes, high achievers. But I have really a lot of people that have both. They have anxious and avoidant. So the fourth one is fearful. Fearful avoidant is disorganized. When you have both, it's like one foot is on the brake, right? So the
One foot is
avoidant
on the gas.
and the other one is on the gas. So we go and chase the people, and then we get really close and then brake because it's scary. Correct? So like you go in between. I want the connection, but I know it was painful. So then the closer I get, break. So you go in between. It's very interesting. Yes.
Wow.
But also what I want to say, it's not all negative, because with anxious people, there are some strengths to all the attachments, because anxious people love people.
Yes.
Right? So there is not only because I need you, but also because we do care.
Yeah.
We do care about people. We are really amazing in connections and networking. So it's not all bad. I want to make it clear, because we get stuck on, oh, I'm a bad person, or I'm just this, or I'm just that.
No, this is all self-realization. This is all self-awareness. This is all, yes. Like, it's not like I want to stop being this. I just want to be more secure in my attachment styles.
Exactly. So with the anxious people, as I say, they value relationships. They will help you. With the avoidant, what's the strength? Is really they are high performers. They achieve a lot.
They compartmentalize. They shut shit down.
Oh, yes.
I know avoidant people that are like, yeah, that hurt. And that was going to make me really unproductive. So I cut that shit off. Yeah. And here I am the next day, like performing like it never happened. Like,
I know, but how does that turn out in relationships? So that's great for business. Correct. But imagine doing a relationship like this.
I think a lot of business people think they have to be like this. This is the only way to survive.
Yes, but you know what? Like the owner of Amazon, right?
He just stepped down.
Yeah,
right?
But he got divorced, correct? Yes. So that's what I mean. You create a lot of, amazing business and opportunities for people. But how do you switch off when you are home with your wife? And I don't know his situation, but I'm just speaking in general terms. You can't be switched off with your loved one. If she's not avoidant, I can even imagine avoidant with avoidant, right? So if she's the anxious type, more of the anxious or secure, how would you even do that? When she wants to talk, you will go and sleep in a separate bedroom for 7 days? I would never put up with this. Correct?
Correct. So there's so many, I'm just thinking about where I'm at, and a lot of people that you work with that I've referred to you.
A lot of people pleasers, a lot of and avoidant. So it's combination, or one is stronger than the other.
And we've never used our voice. Like there's so.
Oh, yeah. So this is what happens too when we say we don't use our voice. When we talked about being confident,
yes.
When you yell, that's not using your voice. When you're being aggressive, that's reactive. That's being reactive because you silence yourself. Let's be clear.
So it's almost like when we're operating in. You're so right, because I just had a great conversation with a friend that said, "I need help," which I ended up referring her to you, and she said because she's very wildly successful. And she said, I'm at a point where I think I'm too far already. I'm pushing everybody away. I'm yelling at all my staff. I'm ruining all my relationships, and I can't figure out why. And so it's because she was already in a place of reactive. You're blowing up.
You're blowing up, and you don't know how to communicate. You think that was your coping mechanism, being aggressive, right? So fight. Maybe her needs were not met. Nobody listened to you. So you're going to fight. A lot of people do that. I used to do that. I used to go into fight, and to protect yourself, right? So if somebody disrespects you, how do you reply? Now, thank God, I had some situation in the playground. Somebody was very disrespectful to me, and I'm so thankful to my past self for doing this work, because 20 years ago, I don't know how it would go for that person and for me. And I was with my child at the playground. This person was so disrespectful 20 years ago, I would be there physically, correct? Because nobody disrespects me in front of my child. So I didn't have coping skills. All I knew was how to protect myself, to be the strongest person in the room. Be the strongest person, whatever that means for you, and how you can get there.
Yeah.
So you, with assertive communication, that's connected also to more secure style. When we talk how we communicate, you can't just come to me and say, I want to communicate better, just teach me the skills. You communicate better and healthier when you feel secure and safe emotionally with yourself and other people. So it's like layers, correct? I can't just give you, this is your paper, one paper, and you just read how you communicate assertively. No, you need to be feeling safe, meaning I know what I will say. Why am I saying? Those are my values. I don't appreciate this. This is my boundary. And now it's up to you if you comply or not. If you don't comply, this is what I do next. It's not a threat, correct? It's not people pleasing. I'm begging you. No, this is me being very clear. This is me as a person. This is not working out for me. This is what I will do. And it's okay if you decide yes or no. I'm fine with your answer. Very different place.
It's so different. It's something I've been learning over the last 9 months, which is like, getting to that secure attachment style. And am I correct in saying that, like, the more secure you become, the easier boundaries become. Because boundaries, like this is really where I want to wrap up this conversation. Let me be clear that in the comments section, if you struggle with boundaries, let's own this together because this shit is real. Boundaries are so difficult for recovering people pleasers. And it's always in this moment, right? It's so funny. Like I noticed this now. I never noticed it before. I notice it now all the time. It's when it could be anything. It's when someone asks me to do something. It's when someone says something to me that I don't like. It's when somebody includes me in something. And immediately I get this feeling of, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be there. Why did they think that about me? And my natural being is like, just do it. It's fine. It's no big deal. But there's this piece of me that I hear that's like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be included in this. But to fix my fingers or my mouth to say, I don't want to do this and overthink their reaction of like, this person's going to be like, why not? Like what, and I immediately think they're going to try to be logical with me. And that I think that my people pleasing self can't stand in that. Like when I have to say no, and then I'm required to explain myself before it even happens, I start getting nervous.
No explaining. We are not explaining.
Yo, how hard is this though? Let's be clear.
I know it's hard.
How hard is this?
I know.
We see the meme all the time that says no is enough. The word no is enough.
It's
right?
a full sentence.
It's a full sentence. Stop trying to explain yourself. And it sounds great, but there's so many times when I'm like, no. And so literally someone asked me yesterday, like, do you want to go to this festival with me? This was me in my head. I haven't gone to a festival since I was 21 years old. I'm like, that is not my vibe. I do not want to be around a bunch of people. I don't want to be pushed around. And like, I kept trying to say back in the text, this is not my vibe. And the minute I got the question back, why not? It's fun.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, this person thinks I'm not fun.
Do you see this? Okay. So imagine if they think you are not fun. What then?
Then I'm like, I'm just being real. Then I'm like, so this is a person of the opposite sex. So I'm like, oh my God, now they think I'm lame. Now they think I'm not a potential partner. Now
but
they
all
think
of it means
I'm
what?
not someone they want to be around.
It means rejection. Rejection. Yes. It's all like, we can put it in all this, I'm lame, it's all rejection. So I'm not being validated for who I am. I will be who wants to be rejected? I don't want to be rejected. Correct? Let's be honest.
But this is my anxious attachment style. I want to be validated.
Yes, but listen, you need to, first of all, so it's small steps, because when we talk about it and we explain things, it's not that you can fix it in a month.
No,
let's be very honest.
This has been a slow grind. Let me be clear.
And it also, when we say, how do we get to secure when I can have boundaries? No. We start practicing boundaries so we can create more secure attachment. Let's be clear. Meaning we need to, when we start understanding our triggers and where we are scared to show up as authentic selves, I don't want to go to that party. First of all, you don't have to reply immediately. You can say, so create small space between immediate response, right? Your automatic response, oh yes, I will go. Just send the message. Let me think about this. Leaves you some space. Let me think about this. Let me reply on Thursday. I need to think about this. I'm not sure. Okay? Create some distance. And then you have some time, so you are not in urgency. Because when you start feeling I need to reply right now, it's going to be horrible, you put yourself in, your nervous system goes into fawn, correct? So you go immediately to one of your survival modes. Correct. So we need to create space, a pause. You don't have to do that. Nobody's there with a gun. It's just your nervous system. What do we need to do? We need to breathe. We need to go for a walk. We just say, hey, thank you for the invite. Correct. Let me reply. Let me reply by Thursday. I need to think about this.
Here's the reality. Most people would agree with this.
Yes.
I don't want to be called, I don't want to be a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a bitch.
But you are not a bitch.
I know, but
you're a bitch to yourself, and you're like, yes, I will go, but you don't want to go because then you betray yourself again.
I don't mean, yes.
And then that's how you see, the more you repeat the same patterns, the stronger they get. So if you do want to get more to secure attachment, you need to do the opposite of what you really want to do. Yes, it's uncomfortable. So I always tell my clients, start with a small thing, like text message saying, let me reply in 2 days. or start with people that feel safe to you. So if I invite you or I call you, you just say, Ludmila, you know what? I just don't want to. And just because I will not abandon you.
Right.
So start setting boundaries with people that are already...
Hold on. Did you hear that part? Y'all gotta just... I'm just thinking about how much of a wound that is, because like when this conversation occurred, the one I'm talking about with the festival, I was so afraid that when I was going to reveal who I was, which is a person that is not fond of festivals.
Amazing person though. Great at podcasting. You should hire her.
But there was this thought in my head that if I was to reveal that I'm this person that doesn't like festivals, that they would then abandon me because they like festivals.
Yes.
So I'm like, now I can't reveal who I really am because I take myself out of an opportunity before I even give it a chance. But what you just said, I can be whoever I want in a secure relationship and you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. I don't care if you go to a festival. I can go by myself. Do you see?
But with anxious attachments, what do? I cling to anyone that tries to run away from me.
I know, but
I'm like, come back.
But those might be not even the people you want.
Yes.
Correct? That's the challenge. So
why do we want the people that we don't need?
It's just, it's repetitive. It feels like home, my friend.
Yes.
And also your standards are so low now, right? So
shit.
Not yours. I'm saying in general, if you repeat it, no, you are up leveling. We know that. We are on that. You're up leveling. But this is what I say. When you are used to toxic patterns, and I don't say it in a negative way, but if you are used to being with somebody who's avoidant and not meeting any of your needs or not even being emotionally available, that's your standard. Correct? Let's compare it. Take me with money. My standard at some point was I can only make this amount of money.
Right.
Correct? I can only make $60,000 a year. So if I'm at this point and I can't move myself out of here and I don't see what's blocking me, what will I make next year?
Same amount.
Exactly. And the next year.
Same amount.
Okay. So when you date the same people, you do this over and over and over again. Correct? Because that's your baseline. That's my also upper limit. I'm the person who makes $60,000. I'm a person who dates unavailable guys. I'm a person who nobody chooses. But that's coming from your trauma and protection mechanisms. Your trauma, your past, your mistakes are not you. Your nervous system will do everything to protect you. Survival and safety. Survival and safety. Always. So the first step is awareness. This is what I'm doing. Let's look at my survival mechanisms. Okay, it's people pleasing, it's perfectionism, it's overworking. Nothing wrong, kept me safe, got you here, got me here. Look at this. I moved around 3 countries with not a lot of money. I mean, I got married, so then it was better, correct? But still, I was not making a lot of money because I'm the person that makes only this amount of money.
Right.
Right? Like before my husband, nobody wants me. Until I realized, wait a second. If I think this, I will get nowhere.
Yo, I've studied upper limit stuff. If you've ever read The Big Leap, go check it out. It's one of the best books I've ever read. 2 years ago, I've read it twice, The Big Leap. But I've studied upper limit when it comes to business. But to hear you tell me that I have an upper limit when it comes to emotionally unavailable men,
correct.
I'm like, hold on. So you mean I can't see past that type of person because
until you start. So this is when people come to me and say, okay, Ludmila, now we see my patterns. What do I do? Well, now you have to put in the action. Correct? So I can save you. I can show you. I can process emotions with you. I can explain why you do things. 100%. And then we have the map. This is why I do this. This is why I do that. Correct? This is how I show up. This is my self-identity I took on. I'm the people pleaser. It's not you. It's just your coping mechanism. It's not you. But then if I tell you, okay, Jessica, now we will really have to lean in, take a deep breath. And when somebody texts you, you have to tell them, let me think about this. You have to do this. Correct? Now you have to really start stepping into the next version of you by making different choices. We are not running away anymore. We are not going into people pleasing. And I don't tell you to take a huge step. Correct? Immediately answer, I'm not going, don't ask me again.
Yeah.
No, we just say, listen, I need to think about this. Let me come back to you on Thursday.
But this all goes back to radical responsibility and showing up for yourself. And when you start to realize it made me really step back and be like, wow, this is how many times you compromise on yourself.
A lot.
And what you want.
A lot of people compromise. A lot of people compromise. And as we talked about being voiceless, when we as women had, for example, my mom was not that. My mom was the loud one. My mom is everywhere. And thank God she's a war survivor. But I have clients where they had moms that were complacent and they've learned how to be complacent in relationships, correct? And then
This is my mother.
Then they have children. And if you have a girl and you are complacent, now you are teaching your daughter to be complacent because you don't open your mouth. And so you don't open your mouth. And I tell you, those are brilliant people. My people are so smart. So now they have a partner and the partner says, wow, you are not doing much. You are not really so accomplished. You need to do more. I see more potential in you. What? So is this supporting you? Not really. And at some point, these women, they get really tired of it. They almost hit, like some of them, not all, hit depression. But depression many times is just when you go into the shutdown, dorsal vagal in your nervous system, when you are in freeze, it's very often is just called depression.
Yeah.
You just don't know how to get yourself out because you've been complacent for so long. You are not speaking, you are not speaking, you are not speaking. And then, and then something happens and you wake up and you look at your life and you say, did I agree to all of this, to this kind of relationship? Did I agree that my partner works so much all the time, is never available? Do I agree that he can go out all the time without me when I'm home with my child? Did I agree to all the other things that are surrounding me? I don't think so. So now how do I get from here to being able to use my voice? Because those are not like disabled women that can work with me. They're very powerful.
Yeah.
But something, and there are different things, right? Like your mother or your father. Then is also some people have religion that put them in this place and you don't speak up as a woman. Happens a lot too, correct? And so now they almost have to not reinvent. They just need to peel off the layers that don't belong to them. Those are not my layers. All these beliefs, all these perceptions, it's not mine. It's somebody else's luggage that was dumped on me.
Yes.
And go and carry this stuff.
I think the hardest part of this process has been that I am unbecoming, that I am peeling back all these layers, trying to figure out who I am, because there was a whole different version of me that was pleasing in relationships and friendships and in showing up, that I didn't actually know who I was. And as I've peeled back the layers, I'm like, you don't like this. You don't want to do this. You are this person. You are emotional. You are like this.
Also, let's say there is a difference. Let's be clear. There's a difference between being emotional. What does that even mean? Or being emotionally available. Because when we see people losing it, being triggered, when we are triggered, we are all over the place, yelling, screaming, crying. And when
Pause, write trigger happy in the comments.
True, yeah.
Trigger happy. Trigger happy. First of all, we are of an era where everyone is trigger happy. Let's be clear.
No, this is a lie. So, yes, so when we are triggered and we start, react to our emotions instead of responding, we label the people, you are so emotional. And that's a bad thing. You are so emotional.
Yes.
Can you please not be emotional? Okay, so
I've had men tell me that.
That just is unmanaged emotion. It is unmanaged because you don't know how to cope with it, how to self-regulate.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
But being emotionally available and being able to experience your emotions is amazing.
Yeah.
Because then you can feel happy, but you also feel the sadness. It's like you have to be able to operate in the positive and negatives of the life, because it's like two sides of one coin. You cannot be happy if you can't be sad. You cannot be feeling successful if you don't know how the failure feels like.
Yes.
Correct? So the anger and then just being at peace with yourself is just, you can be both. And we are always both. We just need to know how do we navigate those emotions that can take us out for a longer period of time. And we start grasping for our coping mechanisms. But it's all life. So be emotionally available, know how to manage your emotions, recognize your inner emotional world, right? And if you do lose it all the time, or you don't know how to cope with your emotions, then go and explore it, because it really uplevels the quality of your life. When I get triggered right now, I will tell you, when it was so hard, but when I get triggered, I can regulate myself within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I can just sit down and say, okay, is this my ego? Why am I triggered? Oh, why am I triggered? This person didn't reply to me in the way. I'm not important. They think they're better, and the ego goes off.
Yeah.
And your nervous system with it. Let's fight. Let's fight. I'm better than you. No, nobody's better than me. You are not better than me. I'm not better than me. It's just, we are just human beings trying to navigate this. Okay, we all want to be loved. So I need to come back to myself. Okay, what is this really about? Let's be really honest. What is this really about? Why am I triggered? Why am I so pissed? Okay, now I know it is me. It's my ego. This is the story. I see the story. I'm okay. Do I like this story? Not really. Which story do I want to believe about myself and that person? What is really in best, highest integrity for myself and that person?
Yeah.
Okay, how does that feel? That feels at peace. Okay, then this is what I would choose. Because I don't like to feel triggered. I'm not avoiding. I can see it.
Yeah.
But then I'm in choice. Do I want to go on the strip for 3 days? I don't think so.
Do I want to drive down the wrong street for 3 days?
No, thank you. No, it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
I want to close with this because this is one of the most, this was one of the things that really was very valuable to me working with you. And it's so black and white. And it goes back to what you said, like it gets down to choice. And then I know there's people that want to learn how to work with you, and you definitely have to explain that to us. But was learning to ask yourself this simple, stupid question when you are in a panic, and it's, am I safe right now? Am I safe? Because what you've taught me is anytime, and I'm using the phrase panic, but again, when you just can't regulate with logic, there's nothing logical going on in your brain. You are on this like emotional spiral, and you can't reason with any of your thoughts, right? Because you're very emotional. And asking yourself, am I safe? Because really you're just emotionally unsafe right now.
Yeah.
You're in a mess. And so asking yourself this, and I remember,
you're dysregulated. That's what it is. Your nervous system is dysregulated. Your body is doing what it needs to be doing to keep you safe.
I'm not fucking kidding. The first time we worked together and you said, I was boohoo crying. Let's be clear. I'm boohoo crying because I'm processing all this stuff. Ludmila was on the phone with me, FaceTime, and I'm crying. And she's like, Jessica, breathe. Jessica, you are safe. And literally, this is me in my head. I'm like, no shit, I'm safe. I know I'm safe. I know. Like, what does that have to do with anything? It didn't make any sense to me. But as I've worked with you and learned this, it is incredibly important to understand, because it's in choice when you realize that your thoughts are elsewhere, but right now you're safe. So you're creating your own emotional distraction. You are creating your own mess, that if you can just acknowledge, like, I am safe right now. I am safe. How do I get back to emotional safety? By self-regulating.
Self-regulate, yeah.
So what is the, I don't know, I wouldn't say the exercise, but what is the easiest way? I know we talked about exercises, but to just learn, because you've made me do physical things before, to learn that you are safe, to get back to that feeling safe, because it's erratic. You're in this emotional, unsafe place. How do I get back? The easiest way to ask myself or get back to feeling safe?
Well, there are different things you can do, but first of all, it's I say it, and people really.
You always make me. What is that thing you always make me?
Oh, like hug yourself.
Yes.
And
It's like one arm here. I don't even know what it is.
The right hand under your left arm close to your heart, and the other one. Yes, you just like imagine somebody.
It's a legit hug.
Somebody hugging you, right? But you need to have an awareness. That's why I say start with awareness. What are my triggers? Don't be judgmental. It's really curious compassion. Look at the situations.
Curious compassion. I love that.
Curious compassion. Where do I get triggered? Why I do get triggered? Okay, I feel triggered. A lot of my clients get triggered when they feel not seen, not heard, not validated, not important, dismissed.
Not
correct?
Important.
Not important. Okay, I got triggered. My opinion was not taken into consideration. I'm triggered. So you already know, you have a list of your triggers. This is where I'm getting triggered. So now something happens. You say, oh, just use the words, I'm triggered right now. So I'm not emotional. I'm triggered. There was something happened. Somebody said something or they didn't do it. And now I feel this emotion. I'm triggered. Let me move myself. I'm so proud of my clients. I had one client, she just went into her car. She was somewhere and she got triggered by one of the family members. And she just said, okay, I'm triggered. I need to remove myself. Like even for 1 minute. She went back to her car, said, why am I triggered? I can see what's happening. Oh, again, my opinion wasn't taken into consideration. That's why I'm triggered. I'm not triggered even about what's happening now. It brings all the stuff from my past.
Yes.
Correct? So, okay, let's take a deep breath. So she took deep breaths and then she looked at the worksheet. What state did I go into? Was it like threat, danger, or safety? It was never safety, right? Okay, so did I went into fight, freeze, where am I right now? And then what story did I tell myself about the situation? Nobody listens to me. I don't matter, they never do what I tell them, all these things, correct? Now when I'm here in my car or I just go to another room, would my reaction that I would have if I stayed, would it be appropriate to what happened? Most of the time, the answer is no, correct? Was that no? How do I want to feel? How would I react to this? What would I do? What would I say if I was in the safe space of the nervous system? So the ventral vagal, when you feel connected with your nervous system, like we feel connected and safe, and what would you do? How would you respond? Not react. How would you respond? So for her, it was, okay, I got triggered. This is why I understand. What do I need to do? I need to set some boundaries with this person. Not out of urgency. No, and she didn't do it the same day. She went to bed, and the next day she woke up and said, I had the conversation with this person very calmly. I said...
Because it can't be out of resentment either. It can't be out of like...
This needs to be clear.
Yes.
Why did it?
Yes.
Because, you needed to ask me. That would be the right thing to do. So I'm communicating right now. Please do that. So... yeah, and I'm proud. It's really those small steps. So you really need to do what you don't want to do. And for avoidant types, right? So for you, is saying, I'm sorry, not even sorry. Can you give me a day or two? I will respond. Okay. And then when you respond, say, sorry, can't make it. Or I won't be able. Thank you for the invite. I won't be able. And when they ask why, it's just because. Like, you don't have to explain yourself. Okay? But that's what you need to start doing. Stop over-explaining. You are in charge of yourself. Other people... So boundaries are also the boundary of resources, meaning my time, my attention, my energy. How much do I give? How much access do you have to me? That's the boundary too. We have physical boundaries, we have emotional, mental boundaries, and resources. Correct? Your time is valuable. You have a son, you run a business. Like, you can even decide you are not going to respond to people because you want to be by yourself. Who is there to decide what you need to do? You need to decide. So for avoidant people, the challenge is where you want to go everywhere, they need to stay where they want to run. So when they have a disagreement with a partner, avoidant type is doing what? Right. Ciao, bye, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't even want to deal with this. So they leave you, the anxious person. What's going on? They just left me. They abandoned me. Correct? So for the avoidant type, what they need to start doing, okay, we understand the patterns. We know why we are doing it. Now you need to start putting in the action into practice, meaning tell your partner, listen, when we have disagreement, this is what's triggered within me. Vulnerability. This is what's triggered. I feel triggered. I don't feel safe. So we need to know what we will do, because the first thing I want to do is to leave. So you have to tell him, this is what my body wants to leave, but I want to stay.
I want to
like
run.
My highest self wants to stay because I want to feel connected. It just doesn't feel safe. So what can we do when we have disagreement that I know I can, like, I will do this. I will go to another room, maybe journal or brief, whatever I need to do. You need to start doing exactly the opposite of what you want to do. And
what you naturally do.
Small steps.
Yep.
I don't say stay and then have the conversation there. I say just don't leave the house. Yep. Just go to your room, do what you need to do. So you have to have tools in your toolbox. What do I do when I want to go into shutdown?
I used to have a pastor that used to always say, years ago when we worked with a pastor, he used to always say, unless you plan on leaving for good, don't leave.
Yeah,
you find exercises that you can put things on pause. That's fine. But unless you're leaving, don't leave. Like, you're leaving for good.
Because what are you doing?
You're training your partner to...
Yes, you are also not reliable.
Yes, unreliable.
I want to be with a person that constantly leaves me?
No.
And then I have to...
I was a runner.
Yeah.
I used to be a runner.
Yeah.
Yep.
It feels really uncomfortable for the other person. And when you engage, and that's what I say, when people stay in those relationships and they just complain about somebody, I say, well, you are agreeing on staying too. So you need to take responsibility. I know this pattern and I'm staying. And then I'm complaining to everybody about my partner, but I'm staying. Yep. But I did that too. I did it too.
Yep.
That too. So like I will tell you with my husband, we are very clear. If we have a disagreement and we tell, one thing we do for our children, I don't lie to our kids. When they see us disagreeing, we don't say, oh no, we are not fighting. Yes, we are disagreeing because I need my sons to understand with their body where there is something off, they need to feel there is something off. I don't want to teach them not to pay attention to their nervous system, right? Because they will go into relationships that It'll be very confusing. Yes, mom and dad had disagreement. It doesn't mean we hate each other. We just had different opinions and we still love each other. That's normal in a relationship.
Yes.
Normal. So when they see us, I say, we are fine. Nobody's yelling. We don't yell. So we don't call out. We have, boundaries. No yelling, no calling each other names, all the things. But when we disagree, yes, we can maybe raise our voice a little bit. You kind of change your facial expression. And our son, the older one, feels, wow, what's going on? And I said, listen to your gut. Yes, something is off, but we are all safe. We are talking about this. You are safe. This is a normal part of a relationship. Healthy relationships have disagreements. But when you teach your children, oh no, we are fine. I'm not angry with your dad. I'm fine. Then your child is learning not to listen to their neuroception and their gut, meaning, I think mom is mad, but she's telling me she's not. So who should I believe now? And then they go off into relationships where they might feel something, but they dismiss it. Oh, red flag. Oh no, just dismiss it. It's fine.
Guys, listen carefully. This has and will save, one, a lot of relationships, but two, I didn't mean to say this human, this amazing woman has saved a lot of relationships, will save a lot of relationships. But the most important part I want you to understand about, and I want you to explain where they can work with you in a minute, but the most important thing you need to understand is you do not have to be in a relationship to work with someone like this. I've worked with you for the last 9 months while I was single, and it's the best decision I've ever made, because the goal is to learn who I am in partnership and what traumas, unhealed traumas I operate in relationships, so that moving forward, I don't end up in the same cyclical situations that I was creating of my life for the last 32 years. So you do not have to be in a relationship to work with someone like this. So if you don't mind, Ludmila, can you share where people can get in contact with you and connect with you directly?
Yes. So
we'll also have it in the description below.
Description, yes. And I really want to say you are brave and courageous.
Thank you.
I applaud you, because one thing is, when you have children, you need to do this work.
Yes.
Because the children will trigger all of it.
All of it.
All of it. They will trigger everything that's unhealed for you. So when you have kids, or you are dating, or you think of dating, or you are married, and you want to feel better in your relationships, and you want to really speak up for yourself and feel confident from inside out, you can come and work with me. My website will be below, ludmilawoodruff.com.
Yay!
And yes, you can schedule a call with me. I work with people. The minimum is 3 months. I don't do anything less than that, because it's even impossible for me to promise you any results.
Any transformation.
Transformation in 2 sessions. It's impossible.
You also hang out on Instagram where?
Ludmila Woodruff too.
Yep. All right. And we'll link it below. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being honest and real about this. And guys, it's a long journey. So this was a great start for you to just take a listen in on this. And I hope this was helpful for everyone. So see you on the next episode. There are men who are not perfect, and there are men who are not worth it. Mm-hmm. Honey, that's going in a journal tomorrow. Write that down in the comments. There are men that are not perfect, and there are men who are not worth it. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Jim, today. Thank you.
So the guys who aren't perfect, those are the ones that you can work with. Mm-hmm. And it can't be just their potential. It has to be the potential that they see for themselves, because you can see all the potential that you want in a person, but it has to come from their lens. And so love takes practice. Even loyalty takes practice.
Yeah.
Grace takes practice. Intimacy takes practice. But the more you practice, the better you become. Practice does not make perfect. Mm-hmm. Practice makes better.